Welcome back to the Sell Anything podcast. Today our host is me, and today our guest is me. So the nice thing is this is episode 23, so it's kind of symbolic. And here's what I mean by that. 23 is not the number of my favorite basketball player, but someone that I think is great. We all know who it is. It's Michael Jordan. But the problem is he defeated my favorite basketball player and team repeatedly. Twice, actually, 2 years in a row. And took us away from any chances of glory. So I don't want to give him too much greatness, but he's great, dude. He's the greatest of all time. That's a little tangent for another day. But today on the Sell Anything podcast, we're going to jump straight into a framework that is inevitably powerful when operated properly inside of a sales process. Again, I'm going to say that again. Inevitably powerful when operated properly inside of the sales process. And that's the pit to peak framework. So what on earth does that even mean?
Life is a pitch. It's simply that. It is a pitch and it is fun. Let's make sure that you're being sold what you want and you're selling what you actually want to sell. I really just love selling. It's the easiest thing on the planet if you believe in yourself. Let's buckle up. By the way, my name's JL. This is Sell Anything.
We've all heard it said there are peaks and valleys throughout our life. Now, the cool thing with peaks and valleys is that would presuppose that there's a pit. That is the valley. And then the peak is where we're climbing to. Well, every single sell I have ever been a part of starts in a pit. So what exactly is the pit? The pit is the current problem that your customer is facing. It is the problem that has brought them through your doors or to your landing page or got on the phone with you because they are having a problem that they need solved. And despite their best efforts, they have not found the solution to the problem yet. So they are seeking for it somewhere. And so they're looking for you to help you solve that problem. Now, there could be some times that you go out and you bring that problem to light and you shine light into their pit as you're cold calling or approaching them and bringing up what the pain points may be, but that's all the pit is. And now the pit is overly important to start your sell there. Now here's why. There's a little thing in sales called rapport, or in other words, building common ground. Now, the reality of common ground is it's got to be based on truth, the rock bottom truth. Now think of it in these terms. At the bottom of everybody's pit, where they're actually going to get traction, is where you're going to find the truth. What is this problem actually costing that person? What is not solving this problem, holding them back from becoming? And that's the biggest thing with the pit is finding out what it is. So, for example, you're going to want to ask sensory questions to get that. So, let's say that somebody comes in and they're 40 pounds overweight. You're in the fitness industry. They're 40 pounds overweight. They bend over to tie their shoes and they get sweaty. They get winded going up the stairs. Whatever it may be, it's painful. They don't like it. They're embarrassed to take their shirt off. Whatever that pain may be, you need to lovingly and empathetically expose it and ask them very direct sensory questions like, well, how do you feel that you don't feel how do you feel that you can't take your shirt off in public? Or when you look in the mirror, what do you see? What do you hear around you? Like all of these things, you're asking questions to help them shine light into their own pit and get right to the rock bottom truth of here's the problem and I need a solution. Now, you can't stop there because then you're the person that comes into your world just ends up leaving depressed. So then you've got to accurately take them to the next phase or help them paint the next part of the pitch or the next part of the process, which is the peak. So we're down here in the pit, and then we've got to help paint the picture of what the peak looks like. So we're 40 pounds overweight. Okay, cool. Well, here's the peak. What is that peak? Again, sensory questions. What does it look like for you? How will you feel when you can confidently get in a swimming suit at the pool? What will you hear as you come out of the bathroom or come out of wherever you're coming out of and your spouse is like, whoa, you look good. What's that going to be like? Like you've got to help them get a clear picture of the peak that they're climbing to. So again, we start down here and we're in the pit. And then we go from the pit, there's all the pain down in there, to what is the pleasure that we're looking for at the peak. And once we can clearly illustrate, hey, okay, here's my peak, here's what I'm looking for, at that moment is when you can then introduce the path. Now, the path in your scenario as a sales professional is what you're offering. Using the fitness coaching example, your path is your program, right? Your path is to get them to see that, hey, based off of what I've heard, the pain that you're experiencing down in the pit and the pleasure of the peak that you're wanting to climb to, my program is actually the path to get you there. It is the bridge that will cover that gap from the pit to the peak. And being in a sales or in a fitness profession, then you could easily say, listen, it's science. And you can project it with confidence of, we're going to get you to do some resistance training. We're going to change the way you eat. We're going to change what you eat. We're going to change the amount of steps you're taking and how much you're moving your body. You have a proven and laid out path of, if you follow this path, it is certain. Now, again, certainty is a big part of any sales interaction, because people want to buy what they're confident or certain in that they're going to get the result they're investing for. So your certainty as the sales professional is vital, that your path is the solution for them. So those are the first three phases of this beautiful process we call pit to peak. Let's just review them real quick, and then we'll dive into the fourth one. First phase one, super simple. It is the pit. We're making sure, and I know this is a little bit mundane, and mundane is probably the wrong word, repetitive. There's a reason behind the being so repetitive. The more you do something, the more you hear it, the more you see it, the more you feel it, the more you're going to retain it, and the more it becomes a part of you, and it just becomes the process that you go with. So the pit is found and exposed. You're shining a light right down into the problem of their soul. You're just, boom, here's your problem. Here's what you've told me. You've told me how it makes you feel. You told me what you see when you look at it. You told me what you hear when you listen to it. That is a problem, dude. And I get it, because I've been there, or I've had other clients that have been there. But what they found is that by following the path, they can get to their peak. But before you can push the peak, again, you've got to say, all right, cool. Well, here's where we're at. Here's where we want to go. Tell me more about where we want to go. Tell me more. Why do you feel that way? Well, what do you think it would be like? And get them to really buy in, get excited, and show some enthusiasm about where they're wanting to go, because that's what's going to keep them going when there's a little bit of resistance. But get them so clear on that peak, and then you introduce the path. You lay it out so clear for them of, hey, this is the path. Now, the path isn't where it stops. The path is the path. That's it. In order for them to have the courage to step on the path, onto the path, is this fourth part of the equation, which is the pitch. And that's where you as the professional come in and you pitch them with confidence, with certainty of, okay, based off of what I've heard you say, and based off of what I've heard that you want to go or where you want to go, here's what you need to do. And you pitch them with just so much confidence. Now, here's the key about the pitch, is it has to be by way of invitation. It has to be by way of invitation. You invite them to come into your world, because the path that you're inviting them onto, you're certain is going to get them the result and climb them out of the pit to the peak. If you go to the angle where you're trying to make it out of obligation, you're not persuading anybody. You're manipulating them. And in manipulating them, they're then going to rebel against you, and that's called buyer's remorse. They're going to feel a little bit of remorse because they feel like they got pushed into the deal instead of them leaving the exchange with you as if it was their idea. And that's the coolest thing about this entire process, is if the questions are asked properly, and there's those sensory questions of, what do you see when you look at it? What do you hear when you're listening to what's going on in your head about it? And how do you feel about it? Those are just three of them. And if it's applicable, you can easily ask them, what does it taste like? What does it smell like? Those are different things, and it's a different conversation. But those are the senses that if you get all of them involved in their mind, their mind thinks in images. And so as their mind's thinking in images, and you can take them through that current prison of the pit, and then all the way to the pleasure of the peak and the promise of the peak, it is so powerful. So again, the pitch, it is an invitation to hop on the path, to climb to that peak with you helping them, or with your product helping them, or your service helping them. That's the entire goal of selling in the pit to peak framework. It's pit, peak, path, pitch. You've got it. They've got to come in that order. Pit, peak, path, pitch. So because, now here's another reason, just really quickly, of why that order is important. We've all heard nobody cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. And so the reality of it is they're going to know that you care when you can clearly listen to them with empathy of what the pain is that they're going through and what they're trying to solve. And then they're going to know when you can listen to them and enthusiastically get excited about where they're wanting to go, and enthusiastically approach them with, hey, dude, I actually think I really have a solution, or I actually know that I have a solution because I've seen it done hundreds of times before for you to get out of that pit. And dude, the peak it is inevitable. It's easy if you just follow the path. And then again, introduce that pitch of inviting them, invitation, not obligation. Let them make the choice by the way you present it with certainty. You follow that framework, it's super, super simple, and sales become so easy. It is so easy. So happy we're here. So grateful that you took some time to listen. I know this is a shorter episode than it's usually been. Really quick, I'm going to hold this up because it's just been on the desk. This is a fun little book that I have written called Sold on Yourself. It goes over some of the stuff we talked in this, but Sold on Yourself is literally the key. First and foremost, do you have any success in selling? You have to buy into you and what you're doing as a sales professional in order before anybody else will. It is a powerful thing. So you guys are awesome. I totally appreciate you coming and supporting the show. There are more coming down the hopper. A lot more guests are coming, a lot more fun to be had. But today, super simple: pit, peak, path, pitch. You follow that framework, and it is an easy way to go through those psychological steps of selling so that people understand that you care about them, you know where they want to go, you have a solution that will fix their problem, and you've got the confidence to pitch it and invite them to say yes. Because they're either going to say yes now or they're going to say no. And that's one other little tangent I should go off of. There's no maybe mountain. In order for people to make movement out of the pit, they got to commit. And so a yes is great and a no is great. But if you have done your job properly as a sales professional and you have gotten them so clear on the pain and what it's going to cost them, and then so clear on the peak and what the reward is going to be there for them, and your path truly has integrity and is aligned with those things, the pitch, it's inevitable they're going to say yes. It's inevitable, especially if it's done with confidence. But if for some weird reason they say no, that is 100% okay. They'll be back. And that's one of the fun little mindsets about selling, especially a product that you believe in. They'll be back. You're going to get them because you have so much confidence in what you have to offer on your path. Dude, make it a great day, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.